Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a piece of English grammar that, let's be honest, can be a huge headache, especially in academic writing if English isn't your native language. I'm talking about the noun phrase.
So, have you ever found yourself staring at your essay, just struggling with whether to use a, an, or the? If so, you're in good company. I mean, these tiny little words, we call them articles, can be so tricky. And it's even harder if your own language doesn't use them. But don't worry, stick with me here, and I promise, by the time we're done, these rules will be a whole lot clearer.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics, then we'll hit the most important rule you need to know. After that, we'll look at how this all works in academic writing, build up some of those big academic phrases, and then I'll leave you with a super simple checklist for your own work. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, first up, the basic building blocks. Before we can build anything, we need to understand the pieces. So let's get clear on three fundamental ideas.
So first things first, the noun. Super simple, right? A noun is just a person, a place, or a thing. You know, words like scientist, laboratory, or experiment. It's really the heart of whatever we're talking about. Okay, so if book is our noun, a noun phrase is just the noun plus all the words that describe it. Think about it. The big red book. All those words work together as one single unit, one complete idea. That's a noun phrase. And last but not least for our building blocks, we have articles. These are those tiny words a, an, and the. Now, they might be small, but their job is absolutely crucial. You should think of them like little signals that you give to your reader. They tell them if you're talking about just any old thing or one very specific thing. And here's how that works. It's really simple. A or an means something general. If I say I need a pen, you could hand me any pen and I'd be happy. But if I say I need the pen, I'm talking about a particular one. Maybe it's the one I just dropped. We both know which one I mean. And that's the whole difference right there. General versus specific. Okay, let's get into what I think is the most important part of all of this. I call it the golden rule for noun phrases. Seriously, if you can get this one concept down, you are going to avoid a ton of common mistakes in your academic papers. So, in English, we basically have two types of nouns. First, you've got your countable nouns. These are, well, things you can count. 1 book, 2 books, 3 books. Simple. They can be singular or plural. But then we have uncountable nouns. These are things you can't really count as individual items. We're talking about abstract ideas, liquids, or big masses of things, like water, advice, or research, right? You wouldn't say, I have 2 waters, or he gave me 3 advices. They just don't have a plural S form. So, that brings us to a big question, one I get asked all the time. We just said research is an uncountable noun. So can you ever say a research? And the answer is nope, never. It's a hard no. Honestly, saying a research or an information or an evidence is probably one of the biggest red flags in an academic essay. This is the mistake we really want to fix. Okay, so what should you say? Well, you've got options. You can say some research if you're talking about it generally, or if you really need to talk about one specific bit of it, you can say a piece of research or a study. See? Both of those are perfectly correct, and honestly, they'll make your writing sound a lot more polished. All right, so we've got the basic rules. Now, let's put them to work. Let's see how all of this actually looks when you're writing a university paper. This table really brings it all together, so let's walk through this nice and slow. First step, if your noun is countable and general, you can use a or an. For example, a scientist must remain objective. We mean any scientist, right? Now, if it's countable but specific, you need the, like the participant in the study reported. We're talking about one particular person. Okay, now for the uncountables. When it's general, like education, you use no article at all. Education is the key to growth. But, and this is important, even an uncountable noun can be made specific, and when it is, you have to use the. For example, the information provided in the census. We're not talking about all information, just that specific information from the census. You know when you're reading a journal article and you come across those sentences that seem to go on forever? Well, the secret to those long academic sentences is that they're usually just built around one single, super detailed noun phrase. Okay, look at this. The preliminary results of the longitudinal study. Now, that's a mouthful, right? But here's the thing, all of those words are acting together as one single unit. That whole thing is the subject of the sentence. You could just add a verb, like showed a correlation. All those other words are just there to describe the main idea, which is results.
Let's actually break that down. You start with your core noun, results. Then you add the to signal we're talking about specific results. The word preliminary, that's an adjective. It just describes them. And that last chunk of the longitudinal study is a prepositional phrase that tells us which results we're talking about. See how each piece just adds another layer of detail?
Okay, so this is all great, but how do you actually use it in your own writing? I'm going to give you a really simple checklist. You can use this every single time you review an essay to catch any mistakes. It's just 3 easy steps. Step 1, find your noun. Ask yourself, is this thing countable or uncountable? Step 2, decide how you're using it. Am I talking about this in general or am I being specific? And step 3, check your article. Make sure it matches your answers from steps 1 and 2. And of course, never forget that golden rule. A and an just don't go with uncountable nouns. So, are you ready to start building stronger sentences? Look, mastering this isn't going to happen in one day. But now, with these rules and this checklist, you have the tools you need. You can look at your own writing and start building sentences that are clearer, more professional, and way more powerful. You can totally do this, one phrase at a time.